Hi, everybody. Welcome along to episode 160 of Percussion Discussion Podcast. As usual, I'm going to ask you to please check out all of our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, our world famous YouTube channel where you can find all of our conversations, past and present. These have the video to accompany so you can see us as well as hear us. Please subscribe to the channel. There's no adverts, so you won't get disturbed. It just helps grow the channel. And of course, it means you'll be informed when any new content comes along. So why wouldn't you want to do that? If you'd rather listen on the go, all of our conversations are available in podcast form. These are free to download from your favorite podcast provider. So if that's your thing, you know what to do. Again, if you could rate and review, not many people do it, but if you could, I would be eternally grateful. Again, this helps grow the channel and helps like-minded drummers find us and hopefully enjoy what we do here at Percussion Discussion. On to today's guest, it's the return leg of a great conversation I had with Brian Tichy last year. If you're unaware of Brian, he has, for my money, he's one of the best hard rock drummers out there. An incredibly talented guy. He's played for the likes of Whitesnake, Billy Idol, Foreigner, Pride and Glory / his Snake Pit, and he's currently the drummer for Gene Simmons with his new solo project. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome back for part 2 the wonderful Mr. Brian Tichy. Brian, it's good to see you again, mate. Thanks so much for doing this part 2.
Part 2, yeah. Good to see you again. How's everything?
Yeah, it's all good. Keeping busy, speaking to some wonderful drummers such as yourself. So we covered so much ground last time. It was probably an hour and a quarter, and there's
Yeah.
probably loads of things which we didn't touch on. So you kindly agreed to do a part 2. So here we are, and I'm not one for making notes, but there's something that we didn't talk about last time, and that's your time at Berklee, and I
Uh,
often wondered how much did it affect the way you are today as a player? Would you be the Brian Tichy you are today without Berklee?
that's interesting. Berkeley was great for me. I would think I think everybody has different opinions based on what they went for while they were there and what they got done and stuff. But I don't know if I'd be the same. I'd say no because there's nowhere else I would be if I wasn't in a music college around 3,000 people. The college is one thing, like the classes and uh, what you're taught there, what you're studying, what you're learning, but so much of it is being in the environment of musicians, young musicians, 18 to I guess like 22, all working on their craft, and everybody's learning from everybody. If you took the classes out of Berklee completely, like, and just let it be everybody there practicing and working on getting better, I'd still have learned so much
Really?
because I learned so much from so many students. It was equal. It was probably more on guitar and drums. It was so the classes were totally cool. Like there was a lot of good stuff, but in some ways they were in the way of practicing because I was pretty um, adamant about. I was focused and I was adamant about 6 days a week behind my drums in the dorms because I lived in the dorms for 3 years. Some people have apartments come into the main building. I lived in the main building, and at the time, they probably have it now still. This is like late '80s. I had every dorm floor had sheds, practice rooms. We called it shedding. They were drum sheds, they were
Yeah.
music sheds, practice sheds. So everybody was shedding. Shedding is just a normal term, and I think maybe if you weren't out of school like that, shedding might sound weird, because I'm just used to it. Everybody went to the sheds and shedded. I'm shedding. You didn't shred. You could shred in a shed, but you had to be in the shed. You could shred without the shed, but it was really going to be advantageous to shred in the shed. But it was like you'd get your drums in there and you'd be in there all night. So you do your classes in the day, and that was six days a week, I'd say. I mean, why would I take off the seventh? I had no excuse. So maybe I'd be in there as well, just maybe doing other stuff. But I didn't go out. I didn't party. I only went out when I was going to see shows, And if I wasn't in the sheds on the drums, I was in my dorm on my guitar. It was just learning. There was a point I was trying to be like Steve Vai, and I was transcribing solos, like writing guitar solos on notating them. So into it, and I didn't get great at it, but I was into it. And so to answer your question, yeah, I don't think I'd be the same drummer because I don't think I would have had that much exposure to so much at once
Mm.
in this really cool period of time to get into it, like right out of high school. So you're still like, you don't know anything about the business. And Berklee um, didn't really teach you much. They had music business courses, but it doesn't matter. Okay, these are things that I guess to be aware of. Hey, don't sign anything without a lawyer. Stuff like that. But you can't learn about the business until you've experienced it. You have to go out and do it to learn about it. And while you're at Berklee practicing technique and new styles, you're not learning about the business. So the business isn't so important, but you can be gigging out in Boston. You can be doing, I guess, wedding gigs and cover gig. You join a rock band, local band. That people got gigs at Berklee and left. That's what happened to me. Friends I had. But yeah, to be exposed. For example, drummers will love this. This is awesome. To go there in September of '86 at 18 years old and get in the dorms. And right away, my buddy, roommate, could play a samba, and I couldn't. He could go with his feet, do 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 do. I couldn't separate my right hand yet. I was so pissed off. I was like, I suck. Like it was that started it. I'm like, I suck. I don't care that I can play a 7/8 groove to a Rush record. I can't play a fucking samba, But that was the start. That month, Dave Weckl shows up while the Chick Corea Electric Band record is out. He shows up with John Patitucci and Frank Gambale, does a clinic. The room's packed, like just packed. You can't fit anybody else in there. Weckl's 26. I just heard about him, like, because I'm at Berklee, and it's like, Dave Weckl, Dave Weckl. Blew my mind. So inspired, constantly listening to that record, studying Weckl. I still absolutely love. I just saw a clip of him on Instagram. Just there's Weckl. I listened to him, and he's actually playing to one of his tracks from back in the '80s, where you could buy his play along tracks, which I had, and I'm just like, I absolutely love his drumming. I love how refined it is. It's just beautiful freaking drumming on every level, every level. He's a master, and so he comes and kills us. A month later, Terry Bozzio comes with Sonny Emery opening up, and they do
Oh,
a double clinic together. I didn't know about Sonny Emery yet, but I knew about Bozzio. But I didn't know hardcore Bozzio, but I was aware of Bozzio, Missing Persons, and maybe just gotten some UK stuff.
oh
He
yeah.
comes, just kills us. That's in 2 months of Berklee. That's 18 years old. Just getting turned on to Jeff Porcaro bootlegs at the Baked Potato, Simon Phillips Drum Clinic bootlegs. Like, just everybody's got stuff. Watching friends of mine that, other students do stuff I couldn't do. It was amazing. So I don't know. No, I wouldn't be the same. But through it all, I would practice relentlessly to new stuff. Dennis Chambers, oh my God. Blue Matter. John Scofield, Blue Matter. Just, if you haven't listened to that record, Dennis is just, and Gary Granger on bass and Scofield, I love it. Blue Matter, the first track, just so fat. It's just the groove is so fat. Dennis's chops, his drums sound amazing. And then the next record, Loud Jazz, equally as good. Then they had a live CD after that. It was just all this stuff was happening at once, And I could go on and on and on. Getting
Oh,
turned on to James Brown and Clyde Stubblefield, all this stuff. I didn't know funk. You know what I mean? David Garibaldi, polyrhythms, those Gary Chafee books. All this hits you. And you grew up on Zeppelin and Rush and Van Halen and Maiden. you know,
ah,
so yeah, it was. So no, I wouldn't be the same, even if I had gotten exposed to that stuff in other ways. And that's just the drums. That's not guitar. Like
yeah.
then there's guitarists. that whole side of 80s shred was going on in full force. So yeah, then yeah. So it was great stuff for three and a half years. Because after my third year, I stayed the summer, and yeah, I did a lot of practicing, and then I started playing in school a lot. Like in different uh, just recitals and stuff, and jams, and just constantly playing with people.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was great. I learned a lot. Stick control, fingers. I didn't know finger control, like separate your wrist from your fingers and just work on. I didn't do this stuff. I had like good, decent like chops because I studied private lessons, so I knew my basic rudiments. It's okay, but I was going to the next level of all this. Next level meaning for me. For
Sure.
me, like out of the rock world into this kind of fusion funk world. I wouldn't say jazz, even though I did work on it. Definitely worked on it, but and took it seriously. But like I was going to say before, I'd go back to I'd still go back to my rock records. In between all the stuff, I'd still put on something and play to it that was just rock because I love that music more than all the other music
Hmm.
that I was hearing. There's there's some great Tower Power stuff. I love that Schofield stuff. Well, I still love James Brown, but just growing up on rock, just to go back to the stuff you're familiar with. And I had made up different ways of practicing. I had made up all these things to challenge myself. And there was a night from midnight to 8 a.m. All I did was have my modern drummer, new issue out with Simon Phillips, Give Blood, the Pete Townsend song Give Blood transcription in there, and just ate all night long. So there's,
Great song.
that's,
Great song.
that's, oh yeah, that's the stuff you do at Berklee, you know?
So obviously in colleges and universities over here, you have a first instrument and a second instrument. Is that the same in Berkeley? Because is it unusual to go in with two instruments?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know if it's unusual, but most people are there for one instrument, from
Hmm.
what I remember. Yeah, most people, but they do require you in a certain my uh, what do you call it? The name of my I was under the heading professional music. That was my what do you call it? When you graduate, I got a
A degree.
degree
Yeah.
in professional music.
Yeah.
Very vague, but yeah, I guess you could do recording or studio or this or that. But professional music, and you were required to take take a semester, maybe two, might have been just one, of piano,
Hmm.
which was cool. Like I took piano lessons as a kid because my parents played, and I didn't want to. I was young. This is before drums, like second, third grade, and I just didn't want to at all. But I remembered basics, and so I stink at piano. I'm terrible, but I totally understand piano, and
Yeah.
I know a decent knowledge of basic music theory. So I get it, but if you don't play, I have an electric piano here. If you I sit down, just do it an octave, just all the stretching, you go, oh wow, that's a whole different world, working different muscles in my fingers and my forearms and wrists and everything. So, but yeah, they make you do that in ear training. But I don't think you have to like play a second instrument. You just have to learn the basics of some chords, moving around and just moving some chords around and some. I
Sure.
remember two hands playing different octave scales. B flat major octave with two hands, which I could probably still do now and remember it, but you got to do, yeah. I'm
So some
not, they
theory
don't make you
stuff.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, just understand the basics of piano, which I think is, understanding any
Sure.
instrument for a drummer is killer. I've just been playing guitar since like seventh grade on my own because I absolutely love it. Uh, and it's always been there. Just
Mm.
constant, just love playing guitar. That was the balance was the guitar had nothing to do with what I was at Berkeley for. I was there strictly as a drummer, but constantly learning from other guitar players stuff I wanted to learn. Which is basic like rock and just basic stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nothing jazzy at all. I never got to that. I just wanted to get better playing rock.
Sounds good to me. And then obviously we jump forward quite a few years to where we are now, and you're in the Gene Simmons band, which we talked about last time. Briefly, I might add, because it was kind of towards the end of the part one. Um, but it's got to be. I mean, I know you're a massive Kiss fan, as many previous guests have been, as I am as well. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you're playing in a band with this absolute rock god. Is the set kind of mainly Peter Criss era, or is there some more Eric Carr, Eric Singer stuff in there as well?
Yeah, I'd say that it flips around a bunch, but I'd say the meat of it is the classic Kiss.
Hmm.
Because there's such a. I mean, I think the fans, just because that's the era where they got huge, and I know a lot of people are exposed to them that are younger that got into the '80s era and stuff like that. But yeah, it's mostly the Peter Criss era, which is the stuff I grew up on. That was absolutely the first band I got into. That was my first drum hero. My first everything was Kiss for years. It was like ridiculous. But you're talking 1976, 77, 78. There's no bigger band. And if you're a little kid and the Kiss image and the tunes, the whole thing, and they were everywhere, everywhere in the magazines. And yeah, so if you were into them, there was a lot to get into.
Did you have the
And
lunchbox?
I, I don't think I had a lunchbox. I had a lot of posters. I had a
Yeah.
lot of posters and a Kiss mirror. I had a Kiss mirror and um, yeah, my parents weren't going to run around and just buy me everything I wanted that was Kiss related, but I'd have to save up money. And the first thing you did with your money was buy a record.
Yeah.
But the next thing was posters. Yeah, records and posters and magazines, because every month there was new magazines, and that was like hugely exciting. Because across in the town next to ours, every Sunday we go over to my grandparents on my dad's side, go see them in the morning after church, Sunday church. Grandparents eat some donuts, right? But down the road at the street corner, on the main street, there's a music stand, and I was like, finally they let me walk down there by myself. I go in there, and it was like you never knew what new magazines were going to be there with Kiss. And they were like $2 or something, $1.95 or whatever. And I'd usually have a couple bucks, and I'd be able to get one. There might be four new magazines with Kiss, but that was like so exciting to me. Which new magazines are out with Kiss? I ate it up hard. So yeah, all those great memories. Learning how to play ghost notes from Peter Criss.
Hmm.
Literally learning how to play ghost notes from Calling Dr. Love. That's for real. That's as real as like that's a huge part of my life. Like ghost notes. If you're a drummer, the art of ghost notes. Like they when you learn that stuff for the first time, any drummer out there, you go back to that first time you learned a ghost note, chat, and you're like, that sound. That's it. You just put your left in there, in between the right, and you're boogalooing.
Magic, isn't
It's
it? It's like magic.
it's that. I mean, that's what you can't. That's what I never get away from. The art of drumming. I'll die so far behind schedule of what my potential and ability is. Like I'll never get there because life gets in the way. That's why Berklee was a great thing because there was nothing in the way. There was nothing else to do. Luckily, I didn't have a job. Luckily, I had grandparents that saved some money to put kids through school. Like that's great. That was why my parents were like, "You're going to college." It wasn't like they didn't have the money. They were like, "You're going. You're the first. You're the oldest kid of our four kids. You're going." I was like, "I don't want to go to college, at all." I did not want to go anywhere. It didn't make sense to me. College was university. It was like fraternities. It was like jock stuff and sport. Like, what am I going to do with rock? Then somebody told me about Berklee. I was like, okay, that seems different, But but yeah, wait, I'm jumping all over the map here. I was talking about
Ghost notes,
the
Peter
Kiss,
Criss.
the ghost notes. Yeah, but that was the point. Getting back to the beginnings of when you first, I still vividly remember learning how to go four on the floor, boop, bap, boop, bap, or just one and three on the floor, boom, bap, boom. But then learning how to go poop, bap, poop, poop, bap. One more eighth note in there. I was like, I've just doubled up my ability, and that is the coolest sounding thing ever. Oh, open a hi hat, do sat, do check. then a ghost note, dude, set, get, oh my God. All those things are still just, it'll never go away. It's just so exciting. And so, like I said, I'll never get to, uh, what I think I know my potential could be or my ability and life getting in the way. Yeah, when you're a kid, your mind is just so much more open. There's the reality of being an adult having to pay bills is not there, you know. And even if you can pay your bills and you're set for life, you got kids, you're married, you have responsibilities, things happen in life that you have to take control of because you're an adult. That's just like, so I applaud anybody that can still find time to sit down uh, and practice, which I still do. And I try to balance, like, okay, if I'm going to be on tour these months this year, or I know things are happening where I'm going to be doing stuff, and I know these months I'm home, I've gotta make those months at home a priority to for things that mean a lot to me, whether it's getting better on guitar, original songwriting, um, working on drum tones, like the art of recording and engineering, like because I don't know how many times a week I still listen to music
Mm.
uh, that I've been listening to my whole life and just bug out on how unbelievable the production is or the drum sounds, whether it's Bonham or Van Halen or Bruford or whatever it is that just excites me, or, you know, just whatever. I can get down a long list of stuff, but and just wanting to find that same excitement in when you record yourself, and get drum sounds. The tone chaser thing. I absolutely love that, which I know is like kind of uh, a term given to Eddie Van Halen because he
Yeah.
kept talking about chasing tone, but I totally understand it because I've been doing that my whole life, and you don't know what you're doing. And um, he achieved it, and his brother achieved it, and Bonham achieved it. Like
Oh,
stuff that is timeless, stuff that we put on and go, that's the high point right there. That's the pinnacle of that kind of vibe. And
yeah.
I love chasing that stuff, and I love getting close, and it makes my day.
So do you like music and musicians that are instantly recognizable? Like they have their own thumbprint. Like you hear Alex Van Halen, you know who it is.
It's the best. It is the best. You might have insane chops.
Hmm.
You might have insane on drums or guitar or piano or whatever, um, which we see all the time on social media. It's so impressive and it's very inspirational to see like whatever unknown musicians or guys that aren't in AC/DC or Van Halen or whatever doing be super impressive technical stuff. And there's that side of it that I'll always love. And then there's like the side of like, there was a time Richie Blackmore wrote Smoke on the Water
Hmm.
and made that riff up. And if I had to pick, oh my God, I'd pick Smoke on the Water. That's it. There's a time Iommi made up Iron Man.
Yeah.
Angus or Malcolm made up, Back in Black or Highway to Hell. I pick those because, well, I just love, outside of drums, I love a good riff. And absolutely just think it's one of the most powerful things on the planet. For me, I think the human voice, a singer, is the most powerful
Hmm.
thing. That I think having a voice that stops people and is just the biggest gift you can have. But for music, I just love a riff. Just man, just so. But I do love and appreciate all these musicians with exceptional technique, and the stuff
Of
people are
course.
doing now is amazing. But what was the question?
'Cause,
Because I want to finish it.
I was just saying about about musicians with their own
Oh,
thumbprint,
the
their own
voice, the voice.
style. You
Oh,
just
yeah, I
know
got
straight
it.
away.
Yes, yes, the thumbprint. That's why I was thinking Smoke on the Water, and I went
Yeah.
to Angus Young in my head. Angus Young plays. As soon as I hear Angus, it's Angus. As
Hmm.
soon as I hear Zach Wild, you know it's Zach Wild. You hear Dimebag, you know it's Dimebag. Brian May, you know it's Brian May. As soon as I go down a huge list, and um, it's not because of technique, it's because of tone.
Hmm.
And I would choose tone over technique any day. Yeah. Alex
100%.
Van Halen's snare. It's sometimes I can't listen to things that I love so much because it bums me out that I'm not there. That it actually like makes me sad that I know what I want, and I can get a good drum sound. I can get snares that sound like, and people. I put this stuff clips out, videos and stuff, and people write me nice things. Your snare sounds great, and yeah, that's a cool sounding snare. But I hear things like, yeah, but if I could get it to sound like Alex or Bonham, I would. Like, as it sounds just like Bonham, sounds like Alex. I'm like, it's in that ballpark. It's there. Like it's not in this other ballpark. It's definitely in that one, but maybe he's even getting a chance to get up to bat, but it's not the one that hit the home run. you know, so yeah, I love tone.
Oh,
Tone sounds
see.
more what I mean, and here's something cool. Tone, okay, the tone of Neil Peart when he would go around his toms, when he started cranking his toms up, and it like Permanent Waves era, into moving pictures and after, when he go around, it's not like it's hard to go right. It's just that where else were you hearing that? Like just done so nicely and put in such great places by other drummers. There were other drummers with big drum sets,
Mhm.
like with lots of concert toms, all different sizes. But he was making it musical and it became his thing. And as soon as you heard it as a kid, you're like, exactly. That's what I would want to do if I had all those drums. I just want to go, "Ooh, God, stu, God, like that's the set, that's the best. You know what I mean? That's a stamp, you know?
Yeah.
And as soon as anybody does it now, you go, yeah, that's pure thing. You know what I mean? There's so many great, pure isms, but those are stamps, yeah, man. And people hear that and they know you for it and they wait for it and they expect you to do that and they are fans of you because of the stuff you came up with. I think that's the top,
Yeah.
over technique. You know what I mean? Joe Walsh. Oh my God, I absolutely love Joe Walsh. His voice, his songs, his guitar playing, his rhythm, and his leads. And when he plays a lead and bends into a note, slide or just bending, the rhythm is there, the pitch is there, the tone is there, and it's so Joe Walsh. And there's so much character in the phrasing. It's his personality. It's him on this planet saying, "This is what I say on my instrument." And one note from Joe, 1,000 notes from a bunch of guys that play 1,000 notes perfectly, that don't have maybe great tone or killer vibrato.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's impressive. But man, Ingve, oh my God, everybody wants to be Ingve since Ingve. Like that's it. From Ingve on, there's nobody. He's just the tone is too rich. The vibrato is too on fire. It's reckless, but it's dialed in. It's so focused. I absolutely love it. And when you hear anybody go into that world, and there are people that can do it amazingly well, it's like you're not hitting that tone. You're not hitting it. His tone. It's his fingers, and it's his focus as a kid. Just so driven to this. He saw it. Like he saw this is where I want to go, and he got there. And I was the kid at 16 that was turned on to him, and I thought the record was on 45. Like I went over to the record and was like, "You're messing with me."
Was this the
And yeah,
Rising
so
Force record?
it was actually Steeler. It
Ah,
was
okay.
like the live Steeler record. It might have been called "No Parole from Rock and Roll." I just yeah, but I heard that, and I think his solo record had just come out, like the first Rising Force. Tried to learn that stuff. I learned how to do an A minor sweep arpeggio, 2 octave sweep or whatever, I've never spent enough time on it because it was so his. As soon as you do it, it was just like Eddie Van Halen with tapping, which has been taken to so many, you know, more technical levels. Although you want to talk technical and you go back to Eddie Van Halen Mean Street intro, have fun with that, because I've learned it and there's a little technique in there that I can't do fast enough, but it's not just the technique, it's his rhythm, it's the fact that he made up, it's his groove, it's his tone. It's just yeah, but there's some heavy technical stuff happening, which is what happens,
Of course.
Somebody comes out with the speed of bass drums now. Oh my
Oh,
God. You know what I mean? So that's I love that all, but I'll take your own voice any day. Just your own. You hit a note with vibrato, and I mean, Uh, I hear Zach Wild. You give me one note from Zach, that's Zach. You give me one note from Brian May. You
Mm.
give me a bend from Angus Young. Slash. I love Slash's feel. I love his playing. I hear one note bent from Slash. I know it's Slash. Like you could take those four guys right now, just play me one note, and blindfold me, and I go Slash, Angus, Zach, Brian May, uh, probably Holdsworth. Bam. Just you hear one note. That's his tone too. Yeah.
And are you the same with drummers? Because I'll be honest, right? One of my favorite drummers from the '70s era is Neil Smith from the original Alice Cooper band. Really unique what he does, and I always compare him and Bill Ward. They've got that swing, you know, and they're
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
instantly recognizable ones for me as far as drummers go.
Yeah. Oh, there's tons of recognizable drummers.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, just yeah, it's just like guitar, just like guitar. I was gonna say I never got into Alice Cooper like as a kid. I don't know why. Got into Kiss. A lot of it is who's around you that turns you on to stuff.
Sure.
You know what I mean? One of my buddies was into the Who, so I got into the Who because he was just into it. So I was exposed. We all got into Maiden at the same time. You might have an older brother who turns you on to stuff like, I got into Boston because, well, they were just huge. But I remember at my friend's house playing pool in his basement. His older brother cranked the whole record in his room with his friend. They were sitting in there and we were playing pool listening. I was like, this is an amazing record, So but there was nobody around me that was like, Zeppelin. I got turned on.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I'm fully aware of the meat and potatoes of Alice and stuff, but I know Bill Ward much better. Got into Sabbath, yeah. Just I happened to buy an 8-track for a quarter at a garage sale. It was Paranoid, and for another quarter, Yes Relayer. I heard of Yes, and and Relayer's a crazy record. It's not Bruford, that's Alan White, but to be exposed to Yes, listening to Gates of Delirium first, it was just way too much for me. But yeah, I love Bill. I love Bill, and as time has gone on, I appreciate him more and more.
Hmm.
Uh, and I've become friends with Bill, and as recently as it's a new year now. Last year I was with him twice, and I recorded drums and guitar and bass for him. So he's got a lot of music he's recording, and I've done a couple years ago a bunch of drum tracks for him, which is it's just great because Bill's such a nice guy and he's such a legend, and he lived this life. Um, and as far as Sabbath goes, some buddies with Bill and worked with Bill, like guitar, bass, and drum. Like it's so cool to sit there because Bill describes things in a Bill Ward way. It's very he speaks about feelings and the emotion of the music, and you have to grab that. So he's not like do this on the guitar. He's like, this is what I'm envisioning, and he tells you the story of what's going on in the song, and you try and take that and go okay. And if I come in there not knowing what I'm going to play, and they show me stuff and I play, the same with bass. They'll be like, this song, I'm like, I'm driving down a desert road, and I get to this, whatever, and I start. He's like, yeah, okay, let's go with that. So luckily we work well together, and it's
Hmm.
really fun
That's
because
cool.
it's Bill Ward and just what he's done since the late '60s. But and so as far as Sabbath, and I played with Ozzy a long time ago in
Hmm.
2000 for a summer. So to be able to say that there's points in my life where I've worked with as the drummer and musician for half of Sabbath
It's
and
crazy.
gotten to ask them questions one on one, like asking Ozzy, what was it like when you guys first played live, like playing the song Black Sabbath, because it freaked us all out. Imagine being in a room when this band is playing that. That's like you're not going to get that vibe on the planet anywhere else. You're not getting that Ozzy, that desperate vocal, that clean desperation in his voice, um, over this thunder and this heavy sludge, this evil stuff that you created between the three of them. With nobody else could have done that, and you have this coming at you. That's so heavy. It's so amazing, and and then Bill having that jazzy, funky side to him, like playing stuff that nobody else would have played in that band. Just completely, completely re, relieving himself of all his personality. Like, this is, I'm giving you everything that me as a person feels. It's so great. It's so great, and that's the best thing about original music and original bands, especially to me, rock, because you're writing songs that are timeless, melodies that are timeless, cool imagery. Whereas, sorry, in jazz, for me, I just don't get the tunes. It's just not as timeless. I'm sure there's a list of the biggest jazz songs, but sorry, you're not going to compare it to freaking Maybe I'm Amazed and Stairway to Heaven and More Than a Feeling and on and on and on, or Smoke on the Water, whatever. Like, it's just, and the power of rock,
Yeah.
because we could switch. We're not switching subject here, but like, just think of the power of a backbeat. It's just so massive.
Mm.
It's from disco to metal to funk. Just everybody wants the 2 and 4. It's like it's. Let me ask you a question. What's bigger on drums than a 2 and 4? Like the 2 and 4 backbeat on a set of drums. Give me something that's more powerful.
There isn't. It's as simple as that. It's just, that's it. That's the ultimate, isn't it? Isn't it?
Boom 2, boom 4, and everything that either happens or doesn't happen in there. It's like, that's why I'm like, I love technique, but then there's groove, and groove. You, me, and we could pick 20 other drummers, sit down in the same room on the same drum set at the same tempo, and have the mics on, and go, all I want is eighth notes on the hat. I just want 1 and 3 on the kick and 2 and 4 in the snare. That's all I want. Put a crash in if you want, like on a 1. That's all I want.
Mm.
Like that. Everybody go do that. I want 16 bars. Just play. And everybody would sound different. And
Yeah.
everybody have their own groove. It's
That's great.
so killer.
That's
And
great.
it's so powerful. So the 2 and 4 is so massive. It gets people on the disco floors. And it gets, I know James Brown's got the fat back and all the pop, that pop. I love it, but I'm just saying, funk, rock, metal, all it's metal. I mean, Sabbath, True, Metallica. I don't care if it's not as metal as the other metal, but just go, 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 wanna, wanna, wanna. It's
Mm.
massive.
I
You
mean,
know,
when the levee breaks for me is one of the best things ever written personally.
yeah, it's one of the heaviest. It's one of the best. It's the biggest organic drum sound. Take away the delay.
Hmm.
It's just those drums in that room, are just it's yeah, it's perfection. It's perfection. Bonham's tone with in that room recorded by those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing. But yeah, the 2 and 4 in the groove. That's why I still really, really, really love, like, just, well, stressing how important groove is. Playing something that I feel that moves me, that I feel like that's the place it should be. That's where it's moving. I don't care about all the other junk around it. And getting in and out of it, weaving in and out of a groove. And I'll work on that till I die. Like, you always want to groove harder. And I don't know, and nobody taught me how to groove, and nobody can teach how to groove. But when you're playing along as a kid and things are moving you, and you're trying to imitate your heroes and play along, and you don't know why things are what they are as far as groove goes, but it moves you. And I don't know if every drummer's affected the same, because there's maybe some drummers that don't have as big a groove as others, but um, and what's a big groove and what's not? I don't even know. I
I
think we
mean,
all agree Bonham is a massive, huge groove, but Steve Gadd has a massive, huge freaking groove. Oh my God. You know?
do you see feel and groove as the same thing? or is it different?
Kind of.
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Well, kind of, because what's feel versus groove? I don't even really know. Like a good feel. He's got a good feel. He's got a good. This guy has a good feel. This guy has a good groove. Well, what's it about that guy with the good feel? What's he do with his feel, and what's he do with his groove? Well, that guy has a really good pocket. I kind of put them all in the
Yeah.
same
You can't have
category.
one without the other, can you really?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a good feel, but you don't have a good groove,
Wasted.
he's got a great feel, but his groove is at no. I think you have to have them both. Or man, your pocket is great, but your feel no. I think it's all kind of the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you've got a wang bar, a vibrato arm, a wiggle stick. You know what I mean? It's all a dive bar. It's all the vibrato arm on a guitar. Maybe it's just different terminology,
Mm.
and in some instances it can be taken in a different way. Like, oh, your feel's really nice. You might be talking about something in a recording or a live performance that where the feel was nice because it wasn't only about the groove, it was maybe other things that are happening, within the bigger picture,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say pockets groove, pockets backbeat, right?
Hmm.
Just I think just
I'd
got a
say so.
badass pocket. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love all that stuff. As much as I can talk about like technique and appreciate it, um, I guess you can. Here's an interesting thing: are there more drummers out there um, excelling in the art of technique than there are excelling in the art of groove?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah,
I think personally, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
it's funny because like I'll try to put out some clips with like some technical stuff, and then sometimes I just put out stuff with groove, and they both get similar reactions. Like people react like, "Oh, this technical thing is cool." It's because it's like technical, or I don't do anything technical, just play something simple. It's like the pocket, the groove, the feel, the backbeat, or the tone,
Mm.
you know. And I think they're both equally appreciated, but it seems like, when you're younger, you're hyper and
Yeah.
you just have this energy, and your energy wants you to play faster and learn more and dig into speed and coordination and technique more, which is awesome. So maybe when you're younger, that's stuff that is at the forefront. And you can't compare growing up like I did in the 70s into the 80s and I guess 90s even, but the 70s, can't compare that to being a kid now with the internet because
No.
there's just, it's kind of overwhelming. I'm glad I grew up because I'm glad I grew up without the internet because I'm glad that you had to use your ears more than anything. It was just you didn't know how this drummer did this thing. You just had to try to imitate it. Um, and you couldn't watch them do it. For the most
Yeah.
part, you're not going to really, unless you go see them live, and how are you going to retain that? You know what I mean? Uh, but I like that. I like that you had to learn, learn with your ears first, and so many records weren't played with a click, so you
Yeah.
had to learn how to push and pull. The majority of the '70s records, the majority, 90 something percent, weren't to a click. Name a band, name a band from Rush and Zeppelin and the Who and the Stones to Fleetwood Mac, the Allmans, Steely Dan, Queen. There might be an exception for some reason. There's something they're like Pete Townsend doing a synth track.
Mhm.
Okay, that's kind of like a click that's in time, but everybody's playing by feel.
Yeah.
And I grew up thinking that's what the drummer's job is the feel,
Yeah.
of making the band feel good.
When
So
music
that
breathes. Yeah.
maybe that's the difference there, right there. Like it's the drummer has to groove, but the drummer has to have a feel to make the band feel good and groove with them. But yeah, it was all about the drummer's feel. Charlie Watts
Mm.
sounded a certain way compared to Roger Taylor or, you know,
Do you know
any or whatever.
one thing you mentioned about growing up without the internet, and I'm the same. I'm 51, And I remember like early 80s, I used to buy Kerrang magazine over here. That was my weekly thing, you know? And
Yeah.
I used to read the gig reviews and I'd be like, oh my God, this looks amazing. And now with YouTube and with phones, it's nothing sacred anymore. What was the gig like? Oh, just there it is. And I used to look forward to,
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
so many gigs, Judas Priest, Kiss, and I see these bands and I wouldn't know what to expect. And now it's like, oh, well, yeah, I've seen the show on the thing and it's like, oh,
Just to see Kiss photos
hmm,
or little clips on TV, like if you there'd be something that happened to be on TV, and it was so massive that, and we can get right back to Gene through this. It was so massive. You're like, I have to get a ticket and get inside that arena and
hmm,
see this. I have to experience this. Seeing Van Halen clips. A little later, they did give you some full live clips of full songs, but man, in the '70s, or Queen, whatever, just pick it. But like a show like Kiss was kind of unheard of, like Alice Cooper or whatever. Seeing clips of the punk scene with the Sex Pistols, like, whoa, what's going on? But yeah, you had to go see it. You had, and there was a mystique there that's gone, and I think we just have to accept it. We just
hmm,
have to accept it's done. It's that those days are gone. It's just like the days of you know being a band in a city and creating a following,
yeah,
and labels coming out and citing you and
selling
giving you like
records.
a few records to work this band and make it bigger. Like those days are over. I don't
Hmm.
even know how a band of I don't know how a band of teenagers that are into like hard rock and stuff, whether it's Zeppelin, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Foo Fighters, whatever it is, and they're in their garage doing it. I don't know what I don't know how you think about the, the the big glory picture. Like we're gonna be rock stars and we're gonna have a record out and we're gonna sell out arenas. Like that dream that was attainable when we were kids.
Hmm.
Because the plan was kind of simple. If you're really good, you can create a following of people coming out in your town. Maybe you can get out of your town, play other places, like Van Halen was doing, like whatever. Everybody, you created a following because of your shows, and maybe you had a song that was on the radio, but that's all. But if you're not like a hit writing type of band, you might be a little more underground or experimental or something. You have a following, and a record label signs you up, and they give you a shot. I don't know. That doesn't. It's not. And they spent money, tour support. You know what I mean? You got to pay it back.
Yeah.
But whatever, you're getting a shot at getting around the world, at having a career for the rest of your life that's going to bring you in publishing and royalties. And if you do have some songs people like 20, 30 years down the road, you can milk those songs the rest of your life and enjoy it. Enjoy it because there's so many people that never got that chance,
Hmm.
which is something you can't really look at until you're older. I'm not from one of those bands. I didn't start the band that wrote the hits. I've played in bands like that, but and when I was getting into my 30s, into 40s, I was kind of like, I so badly wanted my own band with my own hits, and it felt a little weird. Like I'm just playing these old songs with these bands, but that's because I'm going through my life, looking at things how I look at it, and I always appreciated and respected all the bands. But now I look back like, dude, life ain't easy, and the success is not guaranteed. And I don't care if you had one record with one hit. I don't care if you're the Knack with My Sharona,
Hmm.
right? That's took over the world. It's so massive. It took over the world like a day, you know. But if that's what you got, and you're the Knack with My Sharona, which I absolutely love,
Yeah.
Bruce Gary on drums, I love it. I love. It's a perfect song. It's freaked me out as a kid. The riff was just stupid
Dun, dun,
perfect.
dun, dun, dun. Oh, amazing, amazing. Yeah.
But like if that's all you got, you did something that's so rare. You came out with your one band, one record. I know they did more, and I bought the record. There's cool stuff on it. It's very Beatlesy and great harmonies and really good songwriting, but it was like it had a little bit of a 60s-ish thing, I guess, in a Beatles way, but that song was just different level.
Hmm.
It's unique, stands on its own. Just like Hotel California.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's just that's it. You know what I mean? But man, you should be really, really happy that you did that. Or if you're a guy like Mick Jones in Foreigner, and you wrote like 15 to 20 of these songs that everybody knows and they're timeless, and you did that for like 4 or 5, 6 records, that's just complete insanity.
Yeah.
And who cares if you didn't write a hit, as big as those after that? This body of work is not normal. It's not a normal thing to do.
Mm.
And if you can go out and play those songs for forever, if the band members change, but it's still under the Foreigner name and it's still through Mick Jones's blessing, whatever, man. Life ain't, like I said, life ain't easy. And if you did that, you got somewhere where there's millions of us dreaming of what that would feel like. And I've been close to play those songs with those guys. Like I was affected by those songs as a kid and learned from them. I learned a double stroke on a bass drum pedal from Hot Blooded in 1978. So I was 10 years old. Obsessed with bam, bam, ba boom, boom, bap, ba boom, ba boom. I had weeks of struggle, but that's Hot Blooded to me. I love the song and that bass drum skip. And I told Dennis Elliott that, like, man, and told Mick Jones, because it's just something that I'll sit here at 90 years old still thinking about that great moment where I learned how to do a double skip on my own. Through Hot Blooded, So yeah, these people should be really happy because like Gene Simmons. I mean, he's above and beyond because he's also an image, and he created a band that was just like that was so massive. But to reap those rewards and live a life that most dream of, and live a life that you literally probably couldn't even dream, like the life he was brought up, brought up coming over here with his mom, a Holocaust survivor, coming here, not even seeing TV or knowing what a refrigerator was, to becoming this character, this icon that also sings and plays great and wrote these massive songs that people still want to hear. Yeah, that's like, that's a different level. That's a different, you've hit some really, really exceptionally high levels, that most people can only dream of,
I mean, you've grown up with Kiss. It's no secret. We know that. And you find yourself, you've played with some massive artists and bands. We know that. We've spoken about them last time. But to find yourself sat behind Gene Simmons, whose poster you've looked at for all these years, and you probably still have him on the wall now. I'm pretty sure of that. How does that feel? Just to look out and see Gene Simmons. I mean, can you even explain how that feels?
Yeah, it's cool just because, and it's not like it's not like, oh, I'm the only one who's ever done that. I mean, he had another solo band years ago. So like, I can't sit there and act like it's just only Brian Tichy could get that gig. There's 1,000 drummers that could do it or whatever. But I first wanted to get in the room and just play how I play, and hopefully he enjoys it. And that's got to seal the deal. Like that has to be like we have to play together, and nothing else matters until he's like, all right, it's cool playing with you. You know what I mean? Great. All right, if we establish that, now I can take a breath. You know what I mean? If we jam and he goes to like Brent, the guitar player, who's to kind of put the thing together when Gene called him, Brent Woods. If you're going, yeah, Brent, thanks. Yeah, Brian, he's cool, but you got any other guys I could check out? That would absolutely have sucked. But I've told him, he knows Brent and I are hardcore Kiss fans. Like he knows we had the posters on the wall, and it meant a lot to us as kids. It was just this huge thing, as it was for so many of us musicians that grew up then. And he's heard it his whole life. But yeah, for me to play with him, it's just nice. It's just a nice. When we started doing this, when it became like, oh yeah, we're going to do some more touring, and this year we're touring April and May. There's a bunch of all states. I don't know anything else yet. I just know that he's announced a bunch of, which is going to be a shit ton of fun because we only played one show in Buffalo last year to finish the European tour, but now we have a couple months, and it'll be a blast. It's so much fun. He's so easy to work with. He really is. He's really laid back, and he knows what he wants,
Hmm.
but he's also listening. He's also like, listen, if you have a question or a suggestion, Gene, I have some great song ideas. Let's learn my no. But he's the one who said, hey, all right, we jammed Ace of Spades. Brian, you want to try to sing it? Do you think you could sing it? I go, yeah, sure, let's try it. So he said, great, do it. Let's give you a spot in the show. It was that simple. I didn't say, I really want to sing. He wants us all singing backgrounds. That was key. That was like big and loud, 3-part, 4-part harmonies, whatever it is. All of us are singing all night long. No click track,
Ah,
no in-ears, stage monitors only. It's just it's so nice and enjoyable. Like, you know, yeah, Brian, we could push that song a little bit more. We could lay back on that one.
hmm.
Like that's cool because this is all new to me. We're playing live for the first time, and while I'm a professional or whatever, I do have to get over this little hurdle of I am playing, and it's cool. We're grown up adults. You're Gene and I'm me, and you're this guy and I'm this guy. But you're still Gene. There's still, and it's great. It is great. You're still that. You're still the demon that was all over my wall. That you are still a member of the first band that I bought records and learned how to play drums to. You know, like that. Yeah. So that is never not cool.
Hmm.
If I don't have my own band, you know, where I'm doing great business and it's all about my own band, and uh, I can play with, 10 different artists, and I don't know, they all pay relatively the same or something like that. Yeah, Gene that's one of the coolest
Yeah.
gigs for me. There's like, if I have my list of people out there playing, there are some huge bands. Well, oh, who wouldn't love to play an AC/DC or Maiden, or whatever. But you put Gene in there, and you're like, wait, Gene's Kiss. Kiss is where it started for me. So that kind of starts to
Oh,
rise to the top as far as gigs. And it's not Kiss, but then again, that's kind of maybe a cool idea, putting on like the makeup and being in Kiss. But because it was, I don't know. But if you're putting on Peter Criss makeup, it's the thought of that's kind of exciting and stuff. But like as a grown up, it's like I don't know. I don't know if I'd that meant that it was so massive to me. I was such a little kid, and it was so Peter Criss. Like, so now I'm Peter Criss. No, you're the cat. You're wearing the makeup. So like that's things to think about.
yeah.
Whereas playing with Gene, hey, I'm me. You're Gene. There's Brent. There's Jason. We're a band. We're gonna play some stuff this first stuff I grew up on, that you wrote, that you started, that affected me. This is one of the coolest places for me to be. For behind a kit of drums. Yeah, definitely, because of what it means to me.
Do when you said, do you want to sing Ace of Spades? I thought you were going to say, do you want to sing Beth? I thought, no, that's the coolest, right?
Yeah. Well, Eric Singer's done that, and so did Eric Carr.
Yeah.
And they both are great singers. They did a great job singing it. And in a Kiss show, that's cool. But yeah, in
Yeah,
a
I
Gene
get it.
show,
I get it.
yeah, but no, it's a lot of fun, and you could see from the show he just wants to have fun. And I think it's about him uh, enjoying going out and playing, and I could even say about making money, because that's Gene Simmons. He lets you all know he loves to make money. Well, great, if you love it and you've done it and you've got it, more power to you, because not everybody can. But um, the show is more of, I think it's really just him having fun. He loves playing music.
Yeah.
He loves jamming. He loves not having to be regimented to the same thing. And that's what Kiss was. Kiss is the makeup, the outfit, the show,
Hmm.
the breathe the fire, spit the blood, fly in the air. Everything's timed. Everything's well thought. And it's a massive, amazing show. But to get on stage and just play kind of like the bands he saw, like the Humble Pies and the Hendrixes and the Zeppelins when he was growing up, Mountains, you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Those bands, like there's a part of him that was affecting him pre-Kiss. So that's kind of the spirit of what we do, is to play and and have a lot of fun with it. And Gene leads the way, and we take chances, and there's some jamming, and he brings people on stage, and he has fun talking. It's very open, There's set lists, but things change within the show,
Sure.
even if we talked about it backstage. So I really like that.
Tell me, you're talking about backing vocals. One of my favorite, it must be if it's in the set, is great for backing vocals, and that's Love Gun. Is that in the set?
Um, yeah, Love Gun was it's that's a great song. That's a Paul vocal, and we did play it,
Yeah, of course.
but we kind of leaned more towards Gene written songs or
Yeah.
Gene vocal songs,
Okay. Okay.
and there's but like that's what we did. But I'm talking about one tour in Europe this
Yeah. Yeah.
last
Of course.
summer.
Mm,
Anything could change because
mm.
we had a long list of songs that we rehearsed because for the months before the summer we would get together a couple days a month and just pick stuff, review stuff, learn new stuff, and see how things feel. Some of Gene's original stuff, some deep cuts from old Kiss, some
Mm.
Gene solo record stuff, like I said, some it was all different stuff, and we're just feeling it out. And I know he's already mentioned a couple uh, newer Kiss songs, meaning which he's played before, like Unholy and Domino, which I think is like the Eric Singer era, and those are cool Gene
Mm.
songs. Like they were getting a little heavier then, coming out of the '80s. So they well, I'm sure we're going to review those, and they might be in the live set. So um, it's more of probably a focus on a lot of that stuff, and maybe some other covers. But it's all up in the air, and we still play Ace of Spades, cool. So that's a lot of fun.
Uh, Look, Brian, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It's unlike any interview. I can't call it an interview. It's a conversation, isn't it? But your
Yeah.
love of music, and I said this last time, is unparalleled. I don't think I've met anybody or spoken to anybody who loves music as much as you do, which is so refreshing. It's like childlike almost, and I mean that in a
Yeah.
positive way.
No, it is, and I, you ask me these questions. It's like because you go, hey, Brian, you could just say Berklee. I'll go 10 minutes about Berklee because it was my life for 3.5 years, and there was a lot of I met great friends there. But you get Gene Simmons. Come on, we're talking about the first band, the guy from the first band that I learned how to play drums to, and they got into. Or you ask me, and and as time goes on, years go by, there's more stories growing, which is a good thing. But yeah, I have a tendency to babble because I have my simple answer I could give you, but I always know there's a little more to it. And it's only my thoughts on things. It's not, somebody else might have similar experiences, but different outlooks on parts of those experiences. And somebody might not have those experiences and have different things that, you know what I mean? There's similarities and differences with everybody. So I feel like, if you're going to sit here and watch this and you're going to, stick around and listen to most of it, then I'll elaborate a bit more because you're listening, and you wouldn't be listening if you didn't care to listen. But and it's also just getting older. You can reflect more. I wasn't reflecting on shit in my 20s. I was just going 30. Just get out of my way. And I'm still like that, but you can't but help look back at 30 years and go, well, it's kind of I'm not the 20s are gone, 30s are gone, 40s are gone. So you could look back and yeah, there's some great shit that happened. There was some ups and downs, and it's just want to kind of convey convey my thoughts with some elaboration and accuracy rather than just like short, boring
Yep.
answers because we get that all day long on the internet. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I will
We
take that
get people
any day. Yeah.
and people trying to say things that sound right. I don't need to ever be negative and put anything down or anyone. There's just like there's enough of that. So I'd rather. And hey, in our private time, we all mock on it. Everybody's got their things they really think, but it's like I don't want to be. I just don't want to be that guy because life is too short. To go down that road. So it's just more like just stay positive and hopefully people learn from what you're saying and what you've done, and are inspired by it. And hopefully, this also resonates with myself. We'll hang up and I'll be affected by the interview, and hopefully it pushes me to say, yeah, man, talk all that shit, get something done. You know what I mean? Which is pretty
Uh,
much my daily battle with myself, is to prove, you know, do I think I could do this? Yes. Well, why aren't you doing it? Right. That's what I should be doing, you know?
on that note, look, thank you so much. We've spoken for probably close on 2.5 hours in total now, and I appreciate you giving your time up. And
Thank
I,
you.
I,
Thank you.
best of luck with the tour, and let's hope you make it over to the UK with Gene, because I will be there in the front. Let me tell
Oh, I hope so too, because like he knows he can call us whenever and book wherever in the world, and let's do it, So I'm glad that we have these um, April and May in the States coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun.
you. Yeah,
And there's talk of some other stuff, but there's nothing in stone yet. So, but there's still time.
fingers crossed.
And yeah, and we'll end it with all this talk. I'm fine. Like this is I was probably going to add it in before, but I'm finally going to start like just doing a solo record where I play everything and get it done myself,
Ah,
because I just want to do it, because like I said, I love riffs and I love original bands. They do their own thing, and it's not about trying to expect to take over the world. Like I've had bands and record deals and this and that, and it's all fun, and there's been some cool stuff. It's more just like I want to do it for me, and if it's just that stuff. I want to do it and get it out there. So I've been procrastinating for a while, for years, with no real great excuse. But now I've like got my notes, got my go. It's like pick a song, pick one song to start, one drum track. Here's the song. That's the groove. That's the part. That's the arrangement. Do the drums. Put the guitars and bass down. You got a couple melody ideas. Start putting your stuff together. Make a song. And usually, if you start, and if it's good, if you're happy with it, then you go, oh wait, then there's that, and that's what I expect to be doing over the next couple months. Is just rocking this out. I see too many of my friends out there putting their own music out. It doesn't matter if they're selling millions of records. It's their own. It's just them saying this is me, and they get respect for being themselves as musicians, and that's more the bigger picture than the money and rewards. It's getting respect for being who you are on your instrument and doing what you do. Yeah.
that's a good place to leave it. Good luck with the album. We'll keep eyes, ears peeled. Thank you so much, Brian. All the very best, mate, and I'll see you soon.
Great to see you. Thanks, and great talking to you.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you very much. See you soon.